Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I'm your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. That alert warning you heard, that there's nukes inbound, air raid warning. Not what you want to hear, folks. I get it, but it's not paranoia. We're living in that age again. We're living in something much worse than the Cold War ever was. We're on the cusp of nuclear world war and the annihilation of humanity. Nothing to lose sleep over, especially if you have My Pillow 2.0. You can sleep through the apocalypse. At least get a good night's sleep. It's frightening. I have a lot of stuff to cover. I am feeling better. Still a little bit of hoarse, but was outside today and got a little walk in. Sun was shining. The weather's getting nice. Tomorrow's the first day of March, so we're marching. Normally into summer, but I feel like we're marching into the apocalypse. So always full of warm and comfort feelings here at Sons of Liberty. So where do I start, folks? Let me start with this, or I'll forget. So this is in Michigan, but this is going on around the country. The Democrats have full reign here in Michigan. The Michigan Republican Party has been infiltrated by Democrats for many, many years now, maybe decades. And I'm going to show you some proof of that. I don't know how we fix the Michigan Republican Party. I'm just being honest. I don't know. Starting a third party has been like a non-starter to me. But it's so screwed up. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I know we won't fix it before 2024. That I do know. So this morning, February 28th, Senator Stephanie Chang, that would be a Democrat in Detroit, introduced the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact Bill for yet another attempt at getting Michigan to join this very dangerous scheme. I think it's unconstitutional. We elect the President of the United States not by the national popular vote, but by the Electoral College. And the way this works, folks, is you pledge. So let's just say Michigan. This is how ass backwards this is. And this is, whenever you ever heard a Democrat say, we've got to protect our republic, right? Never, right? We've got to protect democracy. Democracy. We're not a democracy. You could say we're a democratic republic, but when they use democracy, they want it in their purest and evilest form, something our founders wanted nothing to do with. We are a limited government constitutional republic. We're a representative republic. But the way this would work is, let's just say it's 2024 and President Trump Trump is the nominee and Trump wins Michigan in 2024. But he doesn't win the national popular vote, okay? The Democrat wins the national popular vote. So what they're telling people in Michigan they're going to do, even though you people in Michigan got the vote out and elected Donald Trump to be president, he won Michigan. He didn't win the national popular vote, and because we've entered into this national popular vote compact, the votes go to the Democrats. I mean, this would start a revolution in this country. It's not constitutional. They're trying to usurp the Constitution. And, but what's the Constitution mean to Democrats and unfortunately even a lot of Republicans? And so while we're on just some local politics, and we'll get into the globalist stuff, which is absolutely terrifying, I want to show you this man. Let me see. Where do I start here? Hold on just a second. Let's start here. Okay. Remember the 2020 election here in Michigan? The Wayne County canvassers that were threatened, doxed their family, drew the chalk line, of somebody being dead out in their front cement or pavement. And they wouldn't certify because the poll books didn't balance. They said, we're not going to certify this. And they got threatened and browbeat into it. Dana Nessel did nothing. I mean, I don't even know if we need to go back to the 50s. There'd been a time where you'd have been put in prison for threatening election workers. But, nothing, we're living in a lawless society. So, Pat Colbeck sent me this. Capitol Notebook, former House GOP staffer. Now, this is the state canvassing board. Former House GOP staffer, canvasser, working for AG. Aaron Van Langveld, a former longtime staffer for the House Republicans and GOP member of the Board of State Canvassers, is now working in Attorney General Dana Nessel's office. Marxist Dana Nessel. Mr. Van Langveld, who worked as a policy advisor and legal counsel for the House Republicans, left in December. On Wednesday, he appeared with Miss Nessel during a presentation to the House Judiciary Committee. He is a senior attorney with the Department of Attorney General, Democrat. Mr. Van Langveld received national attention in 2020. Maybe some of you remember his name. When as a member of the Board of State Canvassers, Republican member, he was the deciding vote to certify the election. Some Republicans, including former President Donald Trump, who refuted the election results in 2020 despite no evidence of fraud, remember the platform I'm on, did not want to see the election certified. The other Republican on board at the time abstained, Norm Schinkel, and, I will put him as in the rhino extraordinaire. So hang on just a second. Okay, I got it pulled up here. This is in the Detroit Free Press. Commie rag, by the way, in my opinion. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has appointed a new Republican to a key state elections panel after the state party sought to replace a member who voted in favor of certifying the state's election result. This is the new guy that's going to replace the old guy. Tony Daunt will replace Aaron Van Langveld on the Michigan Board of State Canvassers, Whitmer said in an announcement Tuesday morning. So this is another Republican being appointed by a Democrat governor, and a far left radical one at that. Daunt is the executive director of Michigan Freedom Fund, a conservative organization with ties to the DeVos family. So I question the conservatism right there. That organized some of the protests in the spring where marchers objected to the governor's COVID-19 executive orders. Yet the governor is appointing him to be on the canvassing board. He previously worked for Governor Rick Snyder. That would be Rhino Rick Snyder in the Michigan Republican Party. And when you hear Michigan Republican Party, just put a small d. Michigan, small d, Democrat Party. I mean, they're just a wing of the left-wing party. I mean, it's uniparty stuff. So we go down a little more. The Board of State Canvassers requires leaders willing to follow the rules of law. And to provide honest leadership. And I am honored to be entrusted with this position. Aaron Van Langveld served with honor and integrity. I doubt that. And the entire state owes him a debt of gratitude. Our republic depends on fair and secure elections, and I'm committed to upholding those values. There he is, this guy in the picture. Michigan Republicans chose not to renominate Aaron Van Langveld to the Board of State Canvassers. The decision comes 1 month after he voted with Democratic members on the board to certify election results. And that was in the Holland Sentinel. So just to give you a little flavor of Michigan politics here, which are pretty slimy. So moving on, make sure you guys can see this, and you can. I want to talk about something that I think maybe we lose track of as we head for World War III. And it is World War III that we're in, folks. Going into World War II, America was, we invented the assembly line, right? We know how to manufacture stuff in this country. We did. And, we were the automotive mega, we were a manufacturing super state in the world, the United States. We had welders, machinists, fabricators, woodworkers, artisans. I mean, when you gave us a mission to build something, especially in the heat of war, I mean, there were engineers working on it, and it wasn't long, and we were building what was needed to win World War II. And there's a great, and I'm not going to even paraphrase it, but it's in Ford vs. Ferrari. Great movie. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Where the Deuce, Henry Ford II, talked about this isn't the first time we went to war with Europe, and it wasn't men that won the war. It was production. Well, it's both are true, but he went through how and he pointed at the Willow Run assembly plant and said how many bombers we were making there, and I want you to listen to this. Every American automaker turned its workforce and facility to military production during World War II. But no project captured the public's imagination like Willow Run, where Ford Motor Company built one B-24 Liberator airplane every 63 minutes, folks. They built a B-24 Liberator every 63 minutes. The plant was the embodiment of America's arsenal of democracy. I hate that term, democracy. In enormous manufacturing capacity, so vital to the Allies for victory. And that's what won the war, was our ability to produce the weapons of war. And men went to the battlefield, and the women, you've seen, the famous poster, Rosie the Riveter. The women went to the factories and built a lot of this equipment. But we knew what we were doing. And there were qualified people to train people on site. Somebody had never ran a riveter before, and train them. We're not that America anymore. These bastards have outsourced our industry to China and turned them into what we should be. China is, if we go to a serious, and it's looking like we are, we do not have the manufacturing might or the manpower. I was just checking. China is 1.45 billion people, and we are 3.36 million. So they can just put bodies and bodies into the factories, into the sweatshops, and build the weapons of war. And we're at a disadvantage now because of what the scuzzy politicians and the greedy corporations have done to America for the dollar. All for the mighty dollar. For them, not for us. China racing ahead of U.S. Navy at breakneck speed, building 20 warships per year in 17 shipyards. I don't know how many we're building, but I'm going to say it's not 20 warships per year in 17 shipyards. So you get where I'm going, right? If we end up in it's coming, full kinetic warfare with China. They're going to be able to lose ships and replace them much faster than us. And it's not that we don't have the shipyards and we just don't have the skill set anymore. They took shop class, and I all think this was part of the communist plan. They took shop class out of high school, right? Welding shop, drafting, wood shop, machine shop, metalworking, all that stuff. It's gone from most schools across America. Because back when I was getting out, I remember them preaching, there's no future in the trades. You need to go to college and learn computer programming, or you're going to get left behind. I think that was a lie. Some truth to it, but the reason they wanted to shut down all the shop classes is they didn't want Americans to have those skill sets anymore. And they wanted to funnel them into the indoctrination campuses, right? You know what I say. If you want a good little socialist, send them in America. Send them to a public school, and then if you want a growing communist, send them to a state campus. They're not teaching civics anymore. Separation of powers, American exceptionalism, cursive writing. They're teaching wokeism. They're teaching you're not a boy, you're a girl. You're not a girl, you're a boy. God doesn't exist. It's evil, satanic, and I mean I'm just seeing a lot of satanic stuff. So when I say satanic, I actually mean it's kind of satanic. Just something to think about, folks. Our industrial base has been, they've sold us out and they've shipped our jobs overseas. And it's not good. So let me share this. NATO pokes Russian bear. Agrees to plan for Ukraine to become member state of NATO. Folks, this is what has Russia protecting its borders. This is what drew Russia into Ukraine, was to keep threatening Russia that they were going to put Ukraine into NATO. And we pulled a coup in 2014 in Ukraine. We put a puppet government in there. We've been meddling over there. And I'm no friend of Putin. He's an old KGB Soviet Empire guy. But, I can't blame him for what he's doing, protecting the motherland. So, and I'm certainly no friend of I'm fine with the Russian people. I'm fine with the Chinese people. I'm fine with the Ukrainian people. I'm not fine with any other governments, especially the Chinese communist. Hang on, folks. Let me shut my phone off, or it's going to sure as heck ring while I'm talking. So NATO announced Tuesday the member nations agree to allow Ukraine to become a member of the alliance. This just cements World War III. That's what this does. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg, also told reporters the faster and the sooner we give them, Ukraine, more heavy weapons, the sooner, I believe that should be, the war will end. No, you would be wrong. I see that the future of Ukraine is to be part of the European Union and a member of NATO, says Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin. Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesman said on Tuesday that NATO is in de facto war with Moscow, citing the transatlantic alliance's deepening support for Ukraine and Kyiv. It is becoming increasingly clear that this will not end well, and the worst is yet to come. Russian leader Vladimir Putin says he sees the Ukrainian war as a make-or-break moment in Russian history. Folks, have you wondered why? It's been over a year now, right? Where's been the hard push to make peace? Anybody on that one? There has been none. China, who, Russia and China have been enemies. One of the worst things we could ever do is make them become friends or allies, which, the Biden administration, actually the Obama regime probably still has succeeded in doing. Great job. They have a 12-point plan, which won't go anywhere because they don't want peace, the NATO West, NATO, the Western allies. They want war. They want the global reset. They want the one world government, and they want to somehow in their brains, I don't know how they're wired, but they think they can take out a nuclear nation that's in the way of the global reset. I wish you luck with that, folks. Actually, I don't, but they're leading us into World War III. A year since ordering the invasion of Ukraine, Putin is increasingly presenting the war as a make-or-break moment in Russian history, and saying that he believes the very future of Russia and its people is in peril. That's how I believe Putin when he says that. He feels that their history, their country, their national sovereignty, their right to be an independent nation in this world is at risk. And he's probably right to fear that because we know what the globalists are doing here in America. They have one goal: to disband the former Soviet Union and its fundamental part, the Russian Federation. Putin told this state television interview recorded on Wednesday but released on Sunday. Then the war's going into the motherland, folks, and this is when Putin said, if this is part of their nuclear how would I say it? I'm trying to think of the word. Their nuclear doctrine. There you go. Is that if the motherland is under attack and Russia is being threatened of losing, that they will use nukes. They will use nukes. So mass drone attacks unleashed chaos, air sirens inside Russia, even Moscow. Russia has come under attack by multiple drones on Tuesday, with one of those drones reportedly causing a fire at an oil depot in the southern part of the country, and another hitting outside Moscow. I believe these are Ukrainian drones. I'm not sure if they're building them in their country or they're coming from somewhere else. The attack on the oil facility happened in Taups, if I'm saying that right, which lies 150 miles southeast of the Crimean Peninsula, with Reuters citing local media to report emergency services put out a fire in an oil depot in southern Russia overnight after a drone was spotted flying overhead. So, and they've attacked another drone crashed in the Moscow region on the same day. So they're going in. There's a crash drone right there. So that's, I think there was one drone in St. Petersburg. So, in Ukraine, they feel like, well, hey, Russia's blowing the hell out of our country. We'll go blow the hell out of theirs. So, the new Russian front, I thought had started, but it hasn't yet, but it will be. And I think that's going to certainly change what's going on. And Ukraine's getting devastated. In short of the West at this point and NATO sending boots on the ground, international forces, I think Ukraine has lost to Russia. And it didn't have to be this way, folks. I believe Ukraine would still be an independent nation, as they still are, I guess. Not attacked by Russia if we would have just stayed the hell out of their business. But, we didn't do that. Kremlin, West pumping weapons into Ukraine could bring apocalypse. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has sounded off a new Russian media op-ed warning the West of the dire worst-case scenario that awaits if it keeps escalating its support to Ukrainian forces. His words, published at the start of this week, said the Western policy of arming Ukraine could lead to apocalypse. The former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council has never been shy about these type of warnings, frequently saying that nuclear war could result. The printed words also coincided with Janet Yellen's Monday's trip to Ukraine, where she discussed $10 billion in new budgetary aid for Kyiv and announced the first $1.2 billion tranche. He also stressed in the new piece that the West policy has been on blocking the possibility of peace negotiations. I believe that, folks. Totally believe that with this regime. If it was Trump, well, first off, if Trump would have won in 2020, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be at the state of nuclear world war. Putin would not have invaded Ukraine. We would have had a peaceful pullout of Afghanistan, along with our $80 billion of weapons. We would have kept Bagram Air Force Base. The southern border wouldn't be open, but I digress. We are living in the hellish world we are, because that didn't happen. So one could continue to pump weapons into the neo-fascist Kyiv regime and block any opportunity to revive negotiations, Medvedev wrote for the newspaper. Our enemies are doing just that, not wanting to understand that their goals obviously lead to total fiasco, a loss for everyone, collapse, apocalypse. When the former life will have to be forgotten for centuries until the smoky blockages cease to emit radiation. Thus, his words clearly have in mind a nuclear apocalypse. His ominous words came within a week of President Putin declaring that Moscow has formally suspended participation in the New START nuclear treaties with the U.S. There's another win for Joe Biden. Everything Joe touches is evil. I mean, maybe he is the Antichrist. It is the last end of Cold War era treaty seeking to reduce, limit, and monitor the rival superpowers' nuclear stockpiles. Putin is also lately described the proxy war in Ukraine is constituting an existential threat to Russia, saying his people's very survival is on the line and stressing Moscow won't back down until its military objectives are achieved. But Russia's declaration on the treaty is widely seen as temporary, with the U.S. State Department days ago saying it's ready to begin dialogue at any time and continued on Russians' readiness to de-escalate. I don't think that's going to happen. Next. I shared this with you a while back, but I found an article on it. And it's back to what I'm talking about. We've lost our industrial edge in the world. We're not a leader in manufacturing. Sad but true. And it's worse in the UK, apparently. UK armed forces would only last 5 days in war. Senior MP, a senior UK member of parliament, says his country's military would only last for 5 days in the case of a war. The British Armed Forces would only last about 5 days in a war if one were to break out, a senior Tory MP claimed on Friday in light of mounting pressure on the Chancellor. I don't know what that's about. High inflation rates and the cost of replacing equipment sent to Ukraine had created a really grim picture and led to highly depleted military supplies. Conservative chair of the Commons Defense Committee, Tobiah Elwood, told the Financial Times. According to Elwood, the Army is facing a massive shortage of surface-to-air and anti-tank missiles, two of the most supplied arms to Ukraine from the United Kingdom. I'm very concerned that the message coming out of the Treasury is indicating that we must brace ourselves for further real-term cuts because inflation is rising. So when we need Britain, who would definitely fight side by side with us, you still got to have the armaments to wage a war, and they can go for 5 days, folks. And Joe is, I don't know if he's an agent of the CCP or what, but he's depleted our strategic oil reserve. He's depleting our weaponry in Ukraine, and we're not replenishing it quick enough. If we go into a major conflict, we don't have the manufacturing base like we did in World War II when the sleeping giant was awakened. It's just, and all roads are leading to World War III. It's a nice rosy picture to think about, isn't it? And this, if you wonder how if Russia's winning the war or not in Ukraine, most frontline Ukrainian soldiers are killed within 4 hours of going to the front line. Your life expectancy is 4 hours once you're deployed to the front line in Ukraine. And then you may not be able to see this one. Let me check real quick. Probably get cut off on you, part of it. Let me see if I can fix that really quick. I think I can. Put that over that way a little bit. So China protests after U.S. spy plane flies through Taiwan Strait. We are deploying soldiers, not many, a couple hundred more in Taiwan. But we're heading for kinetic warfare in the South China Sea with the CCP. So that's coming. And then on the economy stuff, U.S. home prices tumble for 6th straight month in December, and it's going to continue to go into a slump, folks. There's a major bubble in the housing market. I think I showed you, if you go to usdebtclock.org, a lot of statistical information there, and you will see that the median household income, or not household, median income, not household number, but medium individual income from 2000 to 2023 went up like $4,000. and I forget the numbers, from like 31,000 a year to 35,000. But the cost of a house from 2000 to 2023 went from like 160,000 to the medium house cost from like 160,000 to 423 or 450 grand. The math doesn't work. It's a massive bubble, and I just refresh this. As you can see, the Dow's down 225 points. Vladimir Putin, $290 million spy plane destroyed in a drone attack by pro-Ukrainian Belarus group. So things are heating up. There's another article on it. Belarus partisans say they blew up Russian plane near Minsk. So all these stories are bad, folks. They're let me get rid of this. It's all bad. Nothing we can do about it, folks. We can just be aware, right? Situation awareness. It's total mission creep. I would say it's went from mission creep to mission maybe jogging toward World War III. I think what's going to happen now, and I said this a couple weeks ago or so, is Russia amasses this 300,000 to 500,000 manned front with a ton of more military equipment, getting ready to make this next push into Ukraine, that they're just going to mow over the country unless there's peace. A peace happens. One, there's a peace deal. Two, NATO, America, it's America, right? Sends in a multinational force with F-16s to push to help the Ukrainians and push the Russians back. That's World War III. I just don't see a peace deal, and I don't see when Yellen's just over there promising billions more money, billions more. Our infrastructure is falling across. Can't even keep a train on the tracks in this country. But let's read. And there's going to say it's going to be 350 billion, probably a trillion, to rebuild Ukraine. So let's mess with the government, start a war, get the place blowing all to hell, spend our war treasure doing that, and then print more money and run inflation up here again to rebuild the country. How about they start rebuilding America? That's a novel idea. Something I want to say I learned from that Glenn Beck video, if you didn't watch it, radioactive fallout. If you do get contaminated, get in the house, get one of the big plastic bags, probably strip on the porch, put your clothes in there, seal it up, put it away, get in the shower and use soap, a cold shower. And I mean soap and no conditioner. They said the conditioner will bond the radioactive fallout, the contaminate it to your hair. I didn't quite understand it, but don't use conditioner. I would just use soap, even in your hair, ivory soap or whatever, and take a long ass shower and get that contamination off of you. Get in fresh clothes. I hate to even have to think about this stuff. And if you want, I'll tell you, I'm still what kind of disturbed by watching that 90s movie or 80s movie, The Day After. You can watch it free on YouTube. And as bleak as it was, it's going to be much worse than that movie made it. And all I can say is I don't want to be in a city that's going to be a nuclear target. I'm already too close to Camp Grayling, which is a weekend warrior, a National Guard, multinational training base south of us, actually southeast. So I'm thinking the prevailing westerlies will take the contamination toward New York or something, or Canada. Probably won't come this way. But we're literally this close. Whoever set the what is it? We're 30 seconds to midnight now. I believe, it might even be closer than that. I think if we don't cool this thing off in Ukraine really quick and get part of the biggest problem is we have a weak leadership. We're a rudderless nation. We're adrift. Joe is a moron. The Democrat communists are idiots. Well, I shouldn't say that. They did a damn good job destroying this country since they started on that mission probably in the late 1950s to destroy the nuclear family, to turn our once revered educational institutions into indoctrination camps, to dumb down Americans, to remove God from everything as much as they could in morality. I mean, you see what's going on. I mean, when you read the news, I'm thinking, you used to hear the Ayatollah, the death to America, the great Satan. When I read the newspapers and the news stories on the day, I'm thinking if I was in Iran and saw what's going on, which I'm sure they do in this country, I'd be thinking they are the great Satan. America has become the great Satan. And I don't totally mean that, but I mean there's enough evil that if you were in another country and saw what's going on with the family and the gender stuff and kids, and it's evil. It's evil on a level that I never thought in my wildest dreams I would see in America. And I don't even need to go back that many years to see, and all I can tell you is you godless, evil bastards, you commies that are destroying this country, there will be a day of reckoning. And every knee will bow to the one and only God. And your day's coming. So I hope you repent and find Jesus, because you ain't going to like the afterlife the way it's going to work out for you. So that's it. Sorry to be a little long-winded here, but feels good to be up and about after being contaminated in that. Do I have the porthole to hell here? It is right there, Lansing. See, it's built over Hades, the labyrinth of demonic spirits are below the city. And the place reeks of sulfur. The steam is billowing. Anybody that's been in Lansing in the winter knows what I'm talking about. The steam's billowing out around the manhole covers. There's 55-gallon drums on the sidewalk, made makeshift chimneys. I assume they're pumping steam in there to keep the pipes from freezing, but I think I could smell sulfur, so I'm not quite sure. But the bastards contaminated me with some sort of bioweapon when I was down there. And I gave it to Renee, so Renee's just getting over it. But, not today, Satan. I'm still breathing. So that's that. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new to this channel, would love to have you become a community member. Just subscribe. Try to read your comments every morning. And if you want to really push out these videos so we can, circumvent the algorithm I'm under, for Sons of Liberty on YouTube. If you give the videos immediately when you watch them a thumbs up, comment down below and share them on your social media to get other people to watch this channel. That's the workaround. It's the only one I know of. So that's it, my friends. Keep the faith. May God bless you all and keep your family safe and friends and loved ones, especially those that are deployed overseas. I'm worried about them. I would much rather be going to battle with Trump as my president than this evil bastard that's leading us into World War III. But, our troops do, they're called and they go and they do their work. They're all patriots. Anybody that's in the military, you're a patriot to me. I just wish you had better leadership right now and the woke generals and stuff. I mean, when China, their military people, and Russia, and they must see our woke, generals and think, what the hell happened to the greatest fighting force in the history of the world? The people that defeated Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, Mussolini. What happened to that America, to that military, to that greatest generation? And I will tell you, I think a lot of it starts with the breakdown of the nuclear family. and getting God out, remember the family that prays together is the family that stays together. So that's it. Keep prepping and keep praying. Keep stocking up on stuff. If you think you're pretty well stocked up, you're not. You need more. Buy more, figure out where your weaknesses are, and fill the gaps. Every extra dollar you get right now, I would be buying preps. Food inflation is going to go through the roof, so even if you don't think the end of the world is coming, you may think so as far as your money goes. 6 months, a year from now, you're not going to be buying nearly as much with your money as you can now. So even now, with inflation where it is, it's still going to be a good investment, in my opinion, to go out and stock up on stuff that you use. Buy an abundance of it. And should we go, into some sort of a nuclear world war, few preppers have enough. So even the people on the, really elite preppers that are the 1% of the 3%, probably aren't even prepared for that scenario. But all we can do is prepare and pray. I know a lot of people think, well, we'll get raptured and I won't be here. Well, don't be so quick about that. Humanity's been through the fires of hell in damnation, and it hasn't been the second coming. And Jesus said, no one knows what day it will be. I come as a thief. Only the Father knows, right? Okay, that's it. I'm ending it here. I will see you guys. Goodbye.